Hello everyone and welcome to BeamNG Drive. Welcome to the stream where more of your mad automation designed vehicles are going to be taking on a technical autocross course as they do most weeks. We've got something very pink. Apparently my Beam game might have frozen. This is an excellent start. Thank you computer for this one. It does look like Beam might have frozen on me. I have been having some issues with the game a little bit. I thought I'd fix them. Apparently no. Well, I mean, if this isn't off to an exquisite fail racy start, I have absolutely no idea what would be. Yeah, we crashed. Well, bear with me while we go and fix all of the issues. Apparently, Beam's having a funny day. How are we all doing today? Hopefully, you are having a more successful time than this. I should warn you, there may be a couple of I think there may be a couple of issues. I've had some weird crashes going on with Beam. I'm not sure whether I've done something weird or whether something else has happened. Basically, weird things have been going on, and I don't know why. I was filming the Driven to Destruction, and it was doing a little bit peculiar stuff in that. Or it did that while I was testing a couple of cars, and it then sorted itself out as absolutely fine when I actually ran. When I did the filming and everything, it didn't crash once. And now apparently we have gone back to breakages. So that's good. That's what we like to see. Nicholas Zorbach, thank you very much for the super chat. I apologise we haven't had much going on yet, but thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. G-Surfer asking, how is Amara doing? Amara is fine. For those of you that have been watching the streams regularly and so on, I've missed a few with trips to the vets. It was nothing. I say nothing crazy. We had Amara spayed, and they got to do sort of plenty of checkups along the way. She's actually doing very, very well. Nothing at all to be concerned about, which is good news. And she is currently actually curled up asleep beside me. She's taken to falling asleep around the bottom of the microphone, wherever the bottom of the microphone may be. I don't know why, particularly she's taken up to curling up around the microphone. However, that is apparently the Amara sleepy spot. Eve is asleep on the windowsill in the bedroom because she loves sleeping on there now. Kes is asleep on the windowsill in my office in the sun, and I think, yep, Zeke is asleep on a backpack in my office because he likes to sleep on the backpack. It used to be Cass's spot until until Zeke found it was comfortable, and then he nicked it. Okay, we should be good to go. We should be good to go. We've got our first vehicle. It is now working. We haven't got freezy crashy game. Right. Shall we begin what we initially set out to be doing? We have got our first car. It is very, very pink / purple. It's very brightly coloured. This comes from Nereza. It is the Lamination RX all-wheel drive turbocharged V10 in this one. 381 horsepower from this, 316 torque as well. That's not bad from a V10. We've not had V10s we've struggled to get much torque out of, so that is a pretty good figure. And it weighs 907 kilos, so it looks like a pretty promising all-round vehicle. We've got fairly big semi-slick tyres, decent-sized brakes. I don't think this is going to run into the the 116s. However, we could well see it go pretty fast. If you do want to keep track of everything, there is in the description of this video There is a link to a spreadsheet that has all of the stats and so on for the various vehicles, so you can kind of keep track of that. Cessna Porsche tends to drop in from time to time. I mean, a massive thank you as ever to him for the work he's done with the incredible spreadsheet. If he does drop in during the stream, he will actually be updating these times as we go. So, yeah, we will, yeah, hopefully have some interesting cars. This thing is kind of wobbly. It has got a manual gearbox rather than a sequential box. So there's a little bit of time loss, of course, in the gear shifts. Depends how many gear shifts we need to do. Will depend on whether it's going to be a big effect. Some cars you get away with not really needing to have to change gear all that often, even around here. Some cars, this one here does seem to have quite a lot of gearing changes needed. I don't know what's going on with the... It's also really... It's tripoding and bouncing in a peculiar manner. There's also something on the left-hand side. It's like a... I think like a splitter or something has got left on the car by accident. Like a bar on the left-hand kind of rear passenger door. We're gonna jump on the brakes there. I was a little bit nervous the car diving around. It is okay under brakes. We don't kind of do endos with it yet. Lots of understeer from the vehicle. We've got a couple of predictions of 118s. I think 118 might be ambitious with the amount this car is bucking around, although I could be wrong. You know, it's pretty... It's got the acceleration. It has got the acceleration to, you know, do fairly well. Also, apparently, I think there must have been an update for the game and it's reset all my times. So, don't worry about that. Okay, it wasn't the best of runs, that one. It was quite scruffy in places, but I'm not sure. Sub 20 would probably be about... it would probably be pushing it, to be fair. I'd need to get everything absolutely spot on. And, you know, getting everything spot on is somewhat difficult in A, 3 runs, and B, in a bouncy, wobbly car. Like this. Kind of feels like the suspension is very stiff and very soft all at the same time, which is a peculiar thing to have. Like, it's definitely very soft in terms of how it dives under brakes, but then it feels almost like the suspension's too stiff. Maybe sort of like, I don't know, rebound stiffness, or sway bars are ultra stiff in a peculiar way. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will have an idea as to what's causing that. Oh, big 2-wheel moment. Please tell me I haven't bent the steering, because up until then this run was feeling okay. We gotta try and get a good run onto this back straight. It's got good acceleration down here, as we might expect from a car with this much power. We're up to the 80-mile-an-hour mark. Not too shabby, not the fastest, but it's kind of around the mid area. Christ. It's just, it bucks around so much. We haven't had, like, outside of some of the really mad contraptions, not had something that's kind of twisted and twitched as much as this vehicle has. Okay, we've gone quicker, though. We've found 1.5 seconds. We just need to do it again. Just another 1.5 seconds, and we might get it sub 20. Those 118 guesses, yeah. But I mean, stat-wise, it's probably a pretty solid guess. However, in terms of what we've actually got here to work with, the gearbox hinders it a little bit, the bouncing hinders it a fair bit, and yeah, put those together. I actually don't know which hinders it more, come to think of it, because the gearbox is certainly losing... You're losing little bits of time almost every acceleration zone, because this has got very, very short gear ratios. We might try leaving it in 3rd, you know. Let's not waste any time. Let's not go for 2nd gear. We don't need to. The engine, like, power delivery-wise, is pretty solid through the rev range. Oh, although I've got big oversteer moment there. That's probably going to put pay to this run, annoyingly. That's a... yeah. I'm trying my best to get what I can out of the car. It is not the nicest of vehicles. It's quite understeery there, followed by maybe over... If this had some slightly better suspension, it would probably be quite fast and a better gearbox. As it is just too difficult. It is too difficult to get anything out of it, which is a shame, but we've had that from a few vehicles. Oh, that was very nearly. Like, we've made a mistake. We had a big slide on this run that will have cost us some time. A crash on one of the archways is going to cost you a lot more time. Yeah, too much time loss. And there we go. Yeah, silly mistake will have cost me some time in that. But an interesting vehicle. An interesting vehicle, to say the least. Not a bad place to start. Not a bad place to start either. Nicholas Zorbach, thank you very much for the second super chat. There's no messages to read out from there, but yes, tis greatly appreciated. We will head back and get our next car. For those asking, or Ethan asking what was the fastest car to go through the course, it was the SGR 001. Went last in the last stream we did. It is at 15.666 or 115.666 is the very fastest vehicle to ever run through the course. Up until then, we've had 16.1 was the Main Motors Fireball. That was a hell of a car. It took a lot of beating. However, the SGR is now the fastest vehicle. We are potentially unlikely to see that beaten today, although you never know. Sometimes vehicles surprise you. Sometimes vehicles surprise you. What have we actually got coming up? Oh, there is one coming up a little bit. There's a couple actually coming up a little bit later, maybe today, that we might see challenge it if they've got the grip, if they've got the handling, and so on. Like, stat-wise, they look promising, but otherwise, yeah, who knows. This interesting looking car, actually. Vehicle built by John Madden. It is called the Laz. All-wheel drive i6, naturally aspirated. Here, it is a 300 horsepower, 200 torque vehicle. We have got semi-slicks, wide semi-slicks all around. What have we got suspension-wise? More conventional suspension, no massive push rods. Ooh, what is that at the back, actually? Okay. Interesting car. Interesting car. I mean, this is, I guess, sort of like a 70s style car. I like it. I do like it. Whether it's going to be good, Christ, it is noisy. You will have to shout at me if cars get excessively loud, because you never really know when it's going to be okay or not going to be okay. Also, I don't know how the roof rack's been made. That's quite clever. I have no idea. Yeah, shout at me if cars get too noisy, because sometimes vehicles do. It's normally the flat sixes, although apparently this i6 is going to be... is it an i6? 1, 2, 3. It is an i6. I thought it was an i5. Oh, the next car's an i5. Never mind. Ignore me. Right. Shall we go and see? It's a high revving vehicle. Shall we go and see what this can do in terms of a run? Now, this is unlikely to challenge the very top cars, as it is, well, 1,300 kilos. That is heavy in this series. It's, well, you know, we're talking 500 kilos heavier than some of the fastest cars that have gone, but I might stand a chance of doing okay. It seems to have some decent power. It's actually got some decent controllability. It is handling these turns very, very well. There is no big roll like we've seen from, well, like we saw from that previous car. It's not bucking around. What gear are we going to want? Second, probably? Possibly? Struggling a little bit, getting slowed down at that later. So it's a little bit more. Whoa, big slide. A little bit more technical sections. Don't know what we're going to do braking wise down here. Yeah, it's not too terrible under brakes. It is a bit heavier, of course, and that not only will hinder it in the corners, it will hinder. Weight is just generally bad in this series. We've found that. One of the fastest cars, I say one of the fastest, one of the most surprising cars, a 400 kilo vehicle with just 60 odd horsepower, has been remarkably quick. It is a 122.9 for the Laz. could probably go faster than the lamination, I think, with a carefully measured run. I think we could see the carefully measured, nicely done run. We could see it a sub 120. The guess is a 117 is perhaps pushing it a little bit much. The mid 19s would probably be the limit of what I could extract, assuming everything went right with it. And that would actually, like a sub 20 with this, would be a very, very good showing. A sub 20 with this car would be not bad considering its weight. You know, I say considering it's naturally aspirated. It's got 300 horsepower, which is about what some of the faster cars have been running. Admittedly, they tend to be considerably lighter, but you can certainly make 300 horsepower work well because you can use it. It's no good having 800 horsepower when you can't use it around a circuit like this. So, yeah, there's a fine line between, you know, you need enough power to accelerate these cars away, but you don't want to be, well, you want to be able to use as much of it as possible. Less sliding this time around is good. What are we seeing in terms of straight line speed here? Yeah, it's struggling a little bit. Just a little bit down the end of the straight. It's mid 70 mile an hour mark. It's not the worst we've seen, but certainly straight line speed is not the car's strong point. It's perhaps never likely to be. Here we go. Wiggle our way through the last section, right across the line. 22.6. That... It felt quicker. It felt more than 3/10 faster, I will be honest. Where am I going to find some more lap time? I've got to try to find a second. Trying to find a second might be quite difficult. I will give it a go. At the end of the day, we will try our very best to find that time. I'm not sure where I'm going to though. We're going to have to be, well, I just have to be neat and tidy, and then we immediately go sideways, taking a wide line through there. It actually kind of worked out all right in the end to get away with a slide through that section as long as you line up nicely for the next corner. Yeah, mid-corner speed is good. We're holding sort of 20 miles an hour, 20-21 here, which not that many vehicles are able to do as comfortably. Yeah, that's pretty good there as well. It's a shame perhaps we don't quite have that speed. If this was a few hundred kilos lighter, probably be a serious contender. Maybe not quite the 15s, but yeah, if this was 800 kilos, you could probably see this go very, very quick indeed with this engine. i6 probably not the, I'd say not the best engine. They're quite large, just physically in size, even with the 2-litre capacity limit. I think they may be slightly heavier. They're not as compact as some of the others, so maybe that's a little bit of a downside with this. On the whole, though, I'm liking it. It looks cool. Looks cool, makes a glorious sound, and is going very well through this course. It's a better run. It is a better run. We did it. I found 1.3 of a second through all of that. Oh, that was a good final run. That was a very good final run. I am happy. I am happy with that one. Yeah, for a considerably heavier car, that is pretty good going. So there we go. A good lap time, a good run time for a interesting vehicle. Right, shall we get our next one? Also, Nicholas Zorbach, thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry, saying you are the best YouTuber ever. Thank you very much. I am glad. I'm glad someone thinks that at least. Yeah, it is greatly appreciated. I'm glad you are enjoying the content. 3 Frozen Noodles asking, when is the next Lego Bugatti build? I did talk about this a little while ago. I need to rearrange a bit of my office because where I would be building the Lego is currently a mess. So when that's sorted, then there can be some more Lego building. I don't know what day we're going to see more Lego building on, but yeah, there will be some more Lego building happening in the near future. I think I might build some of the Bugatti because I mean I've done suspension and engine, or rear suspension and engine. I might build the front suspension, put that together off camera, and then do like body work and so on, kind of on stream, just to kind of get some variety and to get a little bit further through the build, if you like. This is an interesting looking thing. We've got a proper rally car going on here. I like this a lot. I like this an awful lot. Okay, this could be fun. Semi-slick tyres on the car. This particular vehicle comes from Atoll. It is the Atoll RC Mark III RX. A lot of different initials going on in here. All-wheel drive, turbocharged i5 up front, 328 horsepower, 236 torque. It's another slightly heavier car at 1,200 pounds. It certainly looks the part. Certainly looks the part. Don't know how it's going to be set up. It might be terrible. It might be very, very quick. It might be proper rallycrossy sideways everywhere. I'm kind of hoping not, I'll be honest. But there we go. That's a really... I mean, okay, the lamination was a bit of an odd-looking thing. The las was very cool. This is... I like it. I like it. Someone in chat says a cross between a 1 Series and an MG ZR. Yeah, I can see it. I could see it as like a 90s, later 90s sort of hatchback. It's not a bad-looking vehicle. Not a bad-looking vehicle at all here. I might worry slightly about the ride height being quite tall. I say quite tall. Taller than some of the other cars. If we have the vehicle rolling through the turns, it's not too bad, though. We haven't got too much in the way of body roll. Again, it's that little bit perhaps too heavy. I say too heavy for this course, and we are talking, you know, in reality, yeah, 1,200 kilos is a light car. However, in this series, that is not the case, and I fear this may be a little bit too weighty for these real technical parts. It doesn't really feel like it has got a huge amount of grip. It's not bad. Again, this is another one of those cars that is not shabby, but it is not, I don't think, going to be going, maybe a sub, we'll see at the end of it. Sometimes it's a little difficult to judge. Sub 20 might be pushing it a bit. I certainly don't, we're not going to be challenging the top cars. We're going to get not quite any sliding out of there. At least the brakes are fairly good. Do we want second here? Yeah, probably. Gear ratio is pretty short. Thankfully, we have got a sequential box, so not going to worry about that. Oh, clip the wall on the way through. And yeah, we can probably go fastest of the day so far. A high 19 is going to be my reckoning if we get everything spot on. If not, it might be a mid-ish 20. Now, stop sliding around here. I know it's tempting, but we don't actually want to be doing the big sliding around here. Well, let's take it back down to first, maybe for the hairpin. Try and pull the car in. I don't know whether I want it in first or not, to be fair. Second's pretty good, actually, getting the car going. It feels like it's a little sluggish around here, but it really isn't. So I don't got to worry too much about that. Right, let's turn. We can run a bit wide there. That's okay. Keep up a little bit of momentum, although it might be a little too wide. Yeah, it's not ultimately got that front end. It's not got the turn in. It won't carry the same speed as some of the real fastest cars. That's okay. Not everything's going to be fighting at the very top. It might actually be lifting a rear wheel up as going around a corner. Like, this is a proper this is like a proper hot hatch vehicle. This one, it is. You could imagine it being a special edition version of something. Certainly with the way it's bloody cornering, it does feel very much like a yeah, a proper hot hatch. But we're going up against some serious competition in the purpose-built rallycross, autocross section, and it might not quite have the grip to do that. What are we going to have lap time-wise? 21.7. Big crash across the line. There's a couple of skids, a couple of slides, a couple of moving arounds that we could have done without. a little bit more in it. There is that little bit more in it. I've just got to not make any silly mistakes in trying to extract it. Never know what we can do on the final run, though. I've had magical final runs with cars before. I'm hoping I can be able to do that with this. Yeah, I think it is just lifting off. It's lifting up that rear wheel through the corners. We haven't seen too many tripoding cars outside of the real silly vehicles. Even then, not too many of those were full-on tripoding. It's, yeah, I mean, it's got the hot hatch. It's got the hot hatch tripod down. It's good. It's a good car. This is one of those that I feel mean saying it's a bit slow, because it's not. It's actually a really fun and interesting little vehicle. Just around here, it is a little bit outclassed. You know, you're 5 seconds off the fastest car to have got around here. It is a little bit off in terms of autocross speed, but it is a very cool vehicle nevertheless. Oh, that's actually a good exit onto the straight. We're up to 82 miles an hour, although it might be a smidge late on the brakes. Come on, come on. You can get turned around that long roundabout of a corner. Jump on the brakes for the hairpin. We're going to have a change of direction to go. Come on. Oh, 21.3. I just couldn't get any more out of it. I tried. It's the fastest car of the day. That much, but only just. You know, it is the fastest car of the day. I tried. I tried everything. Now it's definitely going to tripod everywhere. In fact, now it's oh, okay. The wheel actually has come off. I thought the wheel had come off a while ago, but it hadn't apparently separated from the car fully. It's gone now. Really, really cool car. As I said, really interesting looking vehicle, but ultimately, not quite got the speed or the grip to fight with the very, very top vehicles. So, there we go. Let's go and load the next one. The next one, well, for the good old guessing game of how fast is it going to go, this one should be a fun and probably not particularly fast. Although, could be wrong. Could be wrong, but let's go and load up. We've got a rear-wheel drive pickup truck. Yeah. This is probably going to be tough to drive. If it loads. Game. Oh, bugger. I have a horrible feeling. Oh, no. Hey! Happy days. We are ready. Now, this particular car, built by Crux LP, it is the Wolfcat Mark 1. Naturally aspirated V8 in this, as I said, rear-wheel drive, 267 horsepower, but you can see how tiny the V8 is. This, that might be a lot smaller than the 2-litre size limit. It might just, that's a tiny V8. Either way, 267 horsepower, 181 torque. It's not too bad in terms of weight either. 1,164. It's actually lighter than that previous car, which for a giant body like this is not too bad going. Big tyres, semi-slick tyres, which is something, you know, that's going to be half decent. Guess a 132. 132 might not be too far off, actually, what we're to expect from this. Sub-30s might be tough. However, you never know. It's might end up being really rather good. Full House Gaming, thank you very much for the donation, saying, "Hey Alex, what do you get when you combine a joke with a rhetorical question?" I think I see what you did there. Hold on, my voice is bloody hell. My voice is typically choosing this moment to play up, but thank you very much for the donation, Full House. I hope that actually all appeared on the screen correct, as I didn't have stuff up in the right place to, like, if the messages and whatnot should have appeared, hopefully. Right, shall we go racing? Yeah, the 130s might be accurate for a rear-wheel drive vehicle such as this one, unless it is A, magic through the corners, which would surprise me, or something. The gearbox is a manual as opposed to a sequential, which isn't great. Wow, this thing gets turned in incredibly well. Holy crap, look at the speed this is taking through these hairpins. We're only talking a couple of miles an hour faster, but when you're doing 20 miles an hour, that's like 10% faster through here. This has got an amazingly good front end. I can't believe I'm saying that about a tiny engine V8 pickup truck, but there is an astounding amount of grip at the front. I mean, it doesn't have the power or the speed to ultimately compete at the very top, but that is seriously impressive. I don't think it's going to, again, I don't think it's going to become the fastest two-wheel drive car. It's a 120, still set by the Pegasus. That's actually led for a long, long time as the fastest two-wheel drive vehicle. I don't think this has got the, I mean, that thing was insanely good through the corners. This is much better than it has any right to be, or way better than I expected it to be. It's not quite Pegasus levels of grip or Pegasus levels of acceleration at the end of the day. This is going to be, it's going to be a sub 30. It's going to be a sub 30 easily at a 25.3. That is way better than I expected it to be. Damn, that is nicely built. If that had, I mean, if that front end was on, you know, a lot of the sports cars that go around here, that would be scarily fast. It's on a rear-wheel drive pickup truck. It's got a 4-speed manual gearbox, and it is absolutely flying around this course. It isn't the fastest rear-wheel drive vehicle, no, but it isn't that far away. I think it might have, does it have an open diff, or is it just the rear of the car being funny? I think we're going to leave it in second for this. I don't want to go down to first. First isn't really long enough, and I don't really want to have to waste time changing gear where it's unnecessary. So second gear will be good through all of that. Almost lost the back end through the faster corners. Not what you want to be doing. Like, normally with a vehicle that has this much front end grip, the issue would be is that the back end's going to start letting go. I'm amazed that this lets me push it as hard as it does without the back end going sideways. I can get it to oversteer. However, most of the time it is behaving itself very, very well. The gearbox is perfect in that we don't really have to leave second aside from this long straight, which means the manual part doesn't really hinder. It's not just 70 miles an hour down the... Again, that's pretty good going for what is a teeny tiny V8 in this. A little bit of oversteer as we bounce off the banking, but nothing too terrible. Another big jump on the brakes. In fact, the brakes are cold all around in this. Now, time to wiggle towards the finish line. There we go, 24.5. Okay, we've clonked into the barrier a little bit. This might be one of the more surprising vehicles to have ever run through this course. I think I don't know if I've got too much more to find in that. There may be a teensy bit, there may be a little smidge more speed to try and extract out of this. It's probably not going to be a huge amount. Either way, though, when people were guessing sort of, you know, the 130s at the start of this run, I was, yeah, kind of expecting a similar sort of thing. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, sure, semi-slick tyres is a pretty good start, but, you know, we've had cars on semi-slicks that have struggled still. This is, yeah, really very, very good. This is incredibly well engineered. There is a little bit of, I think, a one-tyre fire going on, actually, as we come out of these corners, but it's not enough to give the vehicle any grief. A bit of a strange diff, whatever's going on at the back of this. Oh, got that change of direction a little bit interesting. Now, how much power can I get away with putting down here? Like, this is not, I'll say, the normal sort of questions that I was expecting to be asking of a pickup truck like this, because you really are. Oh, no, I butchered that up completely. Oh, I turned in. I thought I turned in too early. Had to panicked and bailed out of it. That actually turned in perfectly fine, so then we ended up turning in too late, and that's going to cost me some time. I doubt this run is going to go faster. Yeah, we got sliding coming off the banking as well. God damn it. Up until then, it was looking like a bloody good run, but throwing it away, I think, on that final couple of corners. Now just the run to the line. Yeah, didn't think that one was going well. That is a hell of a truck. Ooh, it's not what you'd call... I mean, admittedly, it is just air at the front of that, let's be honest. I mean, you've got a long way to go before you start hitting anything important. However, that all being said, that is one of the biggest, I think, sleeper cars that we've had. One of the biggest surprises. We had another pickup that went very, very fast as well. Can't remember what it's called now. But that was damn impressive. Well done. Well done indeed to the designer of that car for making something that really shouldn't work that well go as quick around here as this did. For a rear-wheel drive car, 24 is not bad whatsoever. Right, let's go to the next vehicle. D-Chill, thank you very much for the donation, asking how do we get in on the versus the community races. Well, we haven't run them for a little while. We're going to be doing them on Horizon 4. There will be on Tuesdays a thread goes up that people can sign up to take part on Horizon 4, of course, because we are more limited in terms of spaces. It will be kind of a random draw as to who gets in. Unfortunately, it's the only way we can do it. It's a real faff changing around convoys and so on for a session, so it will just be kind of one group that will do a number of races. When it comes to like challenges, we have a closed sort of filming group for that. If you turn up in versus communities, turn up in stream races and so on, race well, then that's how you will get invited to that. Stream races and streaming events that we do on Twitch, those will it'll be generally open. Either you can join the session from my player profile, or we'll have somebody, Reese or Ewan or somebody, will be doing invites to get people in to those, because yeah, stream sessions tend to be kind of open to anyone to join if you can get in. Of course, there are limited numbers and spaces, etc., but there we go. That's how take part in the various events. Our next car to run through this course, I don't know if you have a tough time following that that Wolfcat. This is built by Jabba, called the TCC 200 Ti. All-wheel drive i6 in this one. Look at the size of the i6 compared to that V8 that went last time. Is this on a ladder chassis, or is it just the carbon fibre tub with prongs out the front? I'm not actually. It might be that, but it looks a bit strange with the prongs. Either way, doesn't matter. Naturally aspirated i6, 300 horsepower, 318 horsepower, I should say. 200 torque, weighs just 800 kilos, which is good. 800 kilos, good. All-wheel drive semi-slicks, not the largest semi-slicks, but they are semi-slicks all around. We've got 4 cannons at the rear. Could be pretty fast. Could be pretty fast, this, if it has got the grip to go with the engine. I think we've got more understeer than the truck, I'm not going to lie. Strange as it might be to say, I think this is going to struggle to change direction as much as the truck does, which is a very unusual thing. Yeah, I mean, we can get away with a late apex. Late apexing and then going for that acceleration is a viable strategy. The camera seems unusually low on this car as well, which is, I mean, not much that I can do. Well, I say much I can do. I can stick the camera up. But I kind of instinctively, I don't know why I instinctively, but I often reset the camera, especially because you go around these corners and you have to reset it because the camera doesn't always keep up with the little car. So, yeah, if it resets it low, it's a bit of a peculiar one, but never mind. Okay, on to the back straight we go. What are we going to see? Straight line speed. Top end is, I mean, it's about similar to that truck in some ways. Interesting, considering its power to weight ratio advantage, but there we go. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It is just a little bit, understeery. It is not, you know, it's not a bad, again, this is the run time that we've been seeing a lot of at the moment. Low 22s, low 21s perhaps. Yeah, I think we can certainly get this into a 21. If I don't make any silly mistakes, if we don't stuff this up, we could probably go fairly quickly. It's got a good enough engine for that sort of runs. It is a manual gearbox, so there is going to be that little delay, but I'm not sure, it's not the worst. Again, this isn't the worst car we've had to deal with. Maybe, oh, it's not quite going to get away with second, is it? There, I don't think. Ah, it's very annoying. Nothing worse. I mean, that's one of the most awkward ones yet, because you either keep it in gear and ping the limiter, or you go to change up, but you won't have time to have changed up and actually used it. So I think we have to leave it in second for a lot of these. Maybe we can get away with third through some of these longer corners like this. We have got pretty good low end power. That's nice. Oh, around there, although brake's not so nice. Front end is not turning in anywhere near as well. Bear in mind what this is just following a pickup truck that was rear-wheel drive, and this really doesn't feel like it has the grip. It's got the traction that the pickup truck doesn't have, and it's got the acceleration that the truck doesn't have, but grip-wise, balance-wise, I think the truck was the better of the two. I'm now just going to go for, I think precision is going to be the way to go here. 21.7. Ender Kid with a guess of 21.87. Well, we got 21.78, so pretty close guess. Pretty close guess. One more run. Can we get a first sub? Can we get the first car of the day into a 120? I don't know. It feels like this is going to be quite close. If I get it right. Christ, this can't get it out of these corners without that massive understeer. Right, let's try running it in second. Yeah, either you sit and buzz the limiter, it sucks, but it doesn't help changing up there. That one we buzz the limiter because it's spinning the wheels a little bit as we try to get going again. I'm amazed that this thing is struggling with grip. You would think a car like this would excel in grip. It's got semi-slick tyres. It isn't particularly heavy. It might all be down to the way the car is set up, but it is not quite working as nicely around here as you might ideally like. I very nearly brushed the wall. I'm going to have to go back to... I don't really want to go back to hugging the walls. It's always dangerous, especially on a final run here. Hugging the wall is... yeah, sketchy. At 79 miles an hour. No, don't oversteer through there. There's just not... it's not the grip in this. It's for much more than the, 21s, maybe a high 20. If I've got it perfect, which I haven't got it very well here. No, I'm going to wash out through there. Might be able to get a run to the line. 22.2, nah, not great. It's just not gripping enough. That's the problem with the TCC. It's certainly not, again, it's not a bad car at all, and it's nowhere near the worst gripping vehicles we've had, but it needs to be able to turn better. It needs more front end grip, and it needs more overall grip, to be fair. It is not got enough to deal with that particular course. Well, there we go. Our next car might be a monster. It might be uncontrollable. There is it might be uncontrollable. You never really know. You never really know when looking at the stats. So this could be insanely fast, or it could be undrivable. Sometimes goes either way. Danish asking, after following your videos, I learned that my preference for understeer when driving, but how much understeer do you personally prefer? It's not so much the understeer that I like. It is I want a car to be planted. I can't be dealing with a vehicle that moves around, like the back end. I don't like the back end of a car moving around when I'm racing. When it comes to, you know, certainly when we're, you know, here we're driving all-wheel drive cars. We're driving, you know, high-powered, lightweight all-wheel drive cars on a technical course. I want the vehicle, I want to be able to jump on the throttle out of a corner and for the car not to oversteer. I like to have that confidence, and the trade-off for that is you'll get a bit of understeer. Now, you don't want a lot of understeer, because that makes you slow as well. Basically, my answer for that one is I want whatever it takes to stop the car from oversteering, almost. That's difficult, because some of these are very high-powered, but yeah, it's more the I don't like oversteer than I like understeer, if that makes sense. That's the the trade-off that I will take. So this vehicle, our next contender, has a mighty wing built by Hen. It is the Owler Pastrow Mark II, all-wheel drive, turbocharged i3. In this one, somewhere in there, is the i3. 600 horsepower out of this, just actually 460 torque. So this is a big power car, weighs 872 kilos. Very big power, not much weight. A massive wing. Have we got hugely wide? Yep, look at the sides of those tyres. Look at the tyre width we've got on this. Either this is going to shake itself apart, which it could probably very easily do, or it's going to be immensely fast. I'm not sure which. I am not sure which. It might have horrendous turbo lag. Oh, good God. It might have horrendous turbo lag, of course. Getting this side... Oh, it's going to shake itself apart. Okay, that's fun. Let's be careful with that. So it's been a while since we've seen a big wheel wobble machine, and this thing is... Christ, this thing is difficult to drive. Right, so it tears itself apart through corners. This would easily take its wheels off in a donut. In fact, I fear if I slide this through a corner too long, it'll tear its wheels off. But we've got to be very... Look at that. That is not a healthy... If your car's doing that, you take it to a garage. That's gotta be a problem for, you know, grip. If your tyres do it. I mean, you see a little bit like wheel vibration in Formula 1 cars and so on. But not normally that much. Oh, 98 miles an hour. It's quick. It's very, very quick down the back straight. Are we going to see any more movement from the wheels, though? No, we are not. Brakes are pretty solid. Brakes are doing a good job. Brakes aren't overheating or any of that. We are heading our way up towards the final stretch. 18.6. It is the fastest car of the day by fair. Well, as I said, this stands a chance of being insane. However, it is not controllable in the slightest. I'm quite terrified of what this car is going to do when it comes to time. I'm terrified of trying to get it slowed down because it is going immensely fast when you hit the brakes. We've got to we've actually really got to not slide the car around because there is a genuine concern that could pull its wheel off if we slide around too much. So let's just be patient. I mean, treat it like a point and squirt car is probably the way to go almost. It will carry some good corner speed, so we can get away with that. Focus though more on the exit of the corner. Make the most of that power, and there is a lot of it, and it's actually fairly readily accessible, although I might not have downshifted enough there. Oh, this run's gone. I thought I'd tapped the downshift. Apparently I hadn't, and then we were all at the wrong place at the wrong time, or wrong place in the rev range. Yeah, I mean, if you're at 40 miles an hour in fifth and trying to boot it, it doesn't work. That's to be expected. Oh, no, dear. Yeah, well, it's got a little bit wrong. It's been a little bit of a roll. It's to be expected, really. Oh, it can't quite crack 100 miles an hour. I'm pretty sure under braking it very nearly does an endo down there. Whoa, nope. Okay, I mean, this run's gone wrong, so I was just experimenting with what we can do with the car. And the answer... Oh, I think I've lost all braking as well. I think my ABS is failing as well. It does. It's out of control. That's also a very, very, very nasty crash after the finish line. That did a... Ooh, we've eaten our own front wheel. That is insane. That is utterly mad. We've had an 18.6 out of it. I don't know what we're going to get, if we're going to get much faster. I don't know if I can keep it under control for much faster because it is just so savage. Right, 4th gear. Probably don't need to go more than that. I mean, it's spinning the wheels off the line. Stop going sideways through there. You're going to tear yourself apart, car. Right, patience through these corners. We wait and wait and wait and wait, and then unleash the anger from all of this and unleash more anger. Try and get it down some gears. I think it might be auto. Yeah, the gear ratios are so short in this car. It's actually very, very difficult to keep up with it. The gear ratios don't help this. I think let's say much longer, but certainly longer gear ratios would be a good idea in this. As it is, they are very difficult to deal with. At times where I think I've gone to change down and it's done its sort of, you know, make sure it's safe to downshift and hasn't let me, and I've not realised it hasn't let me because gears are only covering like 15 miles an hour. Right, we're on to the back straight. I can't let that get to 100 because it just won't stop. It's been a more composed run, which I think is what the car needed. Not sure whether it's going to be enough to beat the SGR here. I just don't think I've not got the control in this, although I have got the acceleration to do a 16. Oh, it's a big crash. It's actually a very big crash across the finish line. It is a 16.750. That's fast. That is very, very fast indeed for a car that is, I mean, out of control a lot of the time. 16.7 is very, very good going indeed. Still a second and a bit off our fastest car. However, it might well be the fastest accelerating car we've had for a while. That is savage. Car with longer gears and less wheel shake would probably go quickest. A vehicle with, yeah, less wheel wobble. The gearbox is so huge compared to that engine. That gearbox is massive compared to the 2-litre i3. Yeah, that's quite a thing. G-Surfer, yes, we can do a donut. Full House Gamer as well wanting to see a donut. It's not going to be a long-lived donut because, I mean, this thing drifting would tear its wheels apart. I'm going to hazard a guess that this thing doing a donut is, yeah, not going to... In fact, we could probably... Can we do it in... No, okay, I haven't got enough power to do it. Right, let's get to a gear. Donut might actually be difficult to get it to do because it's got funny gear ratios. There we go. Okay, I have to go in 3rd gear. Oh, no, you see, because it's... Oh, I have to do a large donut. Basically, just oh, come on. Now you can't do what I want you to do. Tear your wheels off. Okay, I have got another plan. No, I can't get it. It won't donut. It won't hold the donut. There we go. That's... No, it's... it's actually lifting a wheel off the ground. That's why. So there's so much... handbrake's useless on these cars. When they've got semi-slick tyres, that's the handbrake. People seem to think handbrakes would solve all problems. They really don't on these cars with semi-slicks. They just don't work. Yeah, it actually lifts itself. This would tear its wheels off. However, it can't physically tear its wheels off because it lifts itself off the ground. I can't actually get it. I'm really surprised about that. Oh, we've not got any more wheel disintegration from a car. It's disappointing. I might have a way that we can just try something. There we go. Oh, no, there's going to be a wall in the way. Crap. Hey, we lost a wheel. Not quite how I was going for it. I think I could. I've got to have one now. See, now people are wanting to see this. I've got to see what happens. I want to try and make it tear its wheel off, because I think it should surely be able to do it. We might be able to get it to do it like this, if you can kind of get the big... Like, okay, I need more space for that, but that's the right sort of idea. Basically, what you got to do is a really lazy donut, but you've got to be able to keep it with its wheels on the ground. So, third gear, lazy donut, maybe. Although if I do that, it's not shaking them enough, I don't think, to lose them. There we go. I'm amazed they haven't pinged off just yet. Look at it go. That is not a good thing for a car to be doing. How are your wheel axles okay with this? That doesn't look healthy in any way, shape, or form. That's not how wheels should be. You know, it's got strong axles. It's got some seriously strong axles, and the fact that those haven't pinged off, I am amazed by. How does... I don't... You know what? Fair play to you. Fair play to you. I was fully hoping for the big disintegration, but no, not something we're going to see happening. Well, we have tortured the car enough. Not quite the outcome that we had hoped for, but what a strange machine right there. Anyway, shall we move on to our next vehicle? Shall we move on to our next contender in this series? It is not quite as mad, but it will probably be noisier. It will probably be considerably noisier because we've got a flat 6 coming up. I think I saw this car around somewhere. Here we go. Ooh, we might have some more wheel wobble. Could have some more wheel wobble. This is another car that stands a pretty good chance of going quick. Might not be world record quick. Might not be fastest lap, fastest run time quick, but could be pretty good going. Use rear-wheel drive, which is scary. It's not got crazy tyres, so that might help it. Yeah, maybe we can go quicker than the 120 is what we're looking at to beat in terms of the two-wheel drive category, because this is a rear-wheel drive car. Built by Wyvern, it is the P262 RX. As I said, rear-wheel drive, turbocharged flat 6, 409 horsepower, at 289 torque, all in a car that weighs 900 kilos. That is pretty good going. That is very good going, in fact. Push rod, actually full push rod all around, which is nice. As I said, wheel vibration could be an issue. Rear-wheel drive is always an interesting addition. I say an interesting addition, interesting challenge, shall we say, for these cars. Those rear tyres have got a lot of work to do. Those rear tyres have got a lot, especially when it's 400 horsepower and turbocharged horsepower. It's also a manual gearbox rather than a sequential, so we might have some issues with that. We'll, I guess, see how it all pans out. Doesn't look like we're going to have big wheel shaking, though, which is always good. Front end seems okay. There is a downside, of course, to rear-engine cars, and that is the understeer that goes with them. When you put your foot down, the weight transfers back a little bit. It lifts, it unloads the front tyres ever so slightly. It's not horrendous, but you do get that little bit of understeer, and we have got that a touch here. It's not the worst I've driven. It does get feels a little bit funny going in some of these slower corners, but there we go. Kind of don't want to get on the power until I've finished turning the car, because I don't want to suddenly start getting that understeer going on. It's certainly a lot easier to drive quickly than the that previous car. Oversteer's not, for 400 horsepower, oversteer is not too bad. So straight line speed, we're up to the 80 mile an hour mark. For a rear-wheel drive car is not bad, but again, this is similar acceleration to the pickup truck. It really struggles to... it is 400 horsepower, but we're struggling to use most of that 400 horsepower around here. 24.9... 24.9 with a bit... Oh, wow, that's... I don't think we want to show the Euro NCAP people that. While, I mean, okay, that did hit the wall at what? 60 miles an hour? Oh, that's a painful... I mean, the front wheel's almost at the roof. That's quite dangerous. I guess the passengers at least are okay. It has all the crumple zone has done the crumpling, but it's maybe a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable in said vehicle. There we go. Right, we got some time to find. It's certainly not a 114 car. It's potentially a 22 at best. Rear-wheel drive cars are always gonna... Getting a sub-20 with a two-wheel drive car around here is gonna be difficult, I think, is gonna be... I say unlikely, maybe that's... It would have to be a hell of an engineered car. It's doable, I feel, but not easy. Not easy at all. This... I don't think rear engine is the way to go, really. Of course, rear engine, you do get the advantage of... Ooh... traction. Of course, the weight over the back of the car will help with that. However, I think, come on, around here, around this sort of circuit, the advantage you gain in traction is lost with all of the understeer. So, yeah, I think this is going to struggle to go a huge amount faster. A turbo engine is not actually helping us either, I don't think. I could do with... Like, first gear is quite short, second gear doesn't work whatsoever for a lot of these tighter sections. The manual gearbox doesn't help. Again, it's another place to lose a little bit of time. Oh, just stop it. It does shake. There's a little vibration under brakes. Nothing, you know, too terrifying. Nothing to stop the car from being drivable, but there is just a teensy, which I'm kind of surprised about. And wiggle it through these final corners. What are we going to see? It's a better run. Oh, it's another big crash. Definitely giving this a thorough crash test. That time performed better on the, well, mostly performed better. Roof's caved in a little bit from the roll. In fact, the roof's caved in further than the doors. How on earth has it done that? I'm not sure. That's quite... Yeah. Basically, don't crash. Don't crash your pretend Porsche is a fairly good piece of advice. 23.7, though, is not shabby again for rear-wheel drive. What did the pickup truck do? Did anybody remember what the pickup truck's time was? Because this is probably going to be fairly... That was around 23, 24, so I can't actually... I know it only ran, what, like a couple of cars ago, but still, I can't remember. So... oh, we're going to get some oversteer that I really, really didn't need through there. Ah, now we're going to be out wide. We can bring that one back a little bit with positioning it slightly different for this next. I cannot get that front end turned in and carry the speed that I want to. Unfortunately, that's... Now we're going to have some oversteer. Yeah, I'm now really trying to make up speed with this car. It's got half-decent grip there to be doing 39, but as you push it more, you find where things go a little bit awry. And it's, for a two-wheel drive car, it's pretty good. It's going to be up there with the faster ones. The 22s, 23s is not bad going at all for the two-wheel drives, but that understeer is a little too much, I think, for the technical sections, and the oversteer can get a little sketchy as well when you really push it. Again, it's another car with maybe not quite enough grip overall, and apparently it's horrendously dangerous in a crash. Really don't want to wreck it. Not that I would, of course, want to wreck viewer-submitted cars. 23.8, so... It's pretty close. Pretty close with the pickup truck. It's going to be pretty close between that and pickup truck. I was maybe hoping for a little bit more out of that. I will be honest, just didn't have enough. Didn't have enough grip. It's just not quite able to extract as much out of that vehicle. My next car is a curious one. Could be very fast, mainly because it's 678 kilos. So, you know, when your vehicle's that light, pretty good. When your vehicle's that light, it's pretty good for running the course. Of the Mini is a interesting selection of of body style. We've seen these be very, very light in the past. They have tended to be a little bit uncontrollable, though. So I'll be curious to know whether this one has solved the uncontrollability issues. That's, I think, the correct terminology. Thomas Daniel, thank you very much for the super chat. As I've been watching you for a week, take my money. Thank you. It is greatly appreciated. I'm glad you've been enjoying my content for a week, and welcome to hopefully many more weeks of silly vehicle-based shenanigans. Starting. This will be the next silly vehicle-based shenanigans. It is built by Chrisina 3. It is the Ropely Super RS. All-wheel drive, naturally aspirated V8 in this. Of course, all of these vehicles can't exceed 2 litres, and trying to get a transverse mounted V8, it's fairly teeny tiny V8 in there. 315 horsepower though. 315 horsepower, 205 torque in a car that weighs 678 kilos. That is big power to weight ratio. They're big semi-slick tyres all around. If the car is well set up enough, it will be fast. However, it might not be well set up and it might be uncontrollable. We will have to wait and see. It does, unfortunately, have a manual gearbox, which is a potential slight hindrance. It feels very soft. I mean, it's already doing almost a wheelie as we come out of these corners, which is not quite what you want your ultra lightweight Mini to be doing. While, of course, if the car is too stiff, it's going to have real troubles in a different way. This is a little bit on the wallowy side here. Are we going to be... I'm not sure what gear I want through there. I think second is okay. Second's not too bad. Third, we might still get some power down in. Oh, little too much. Little bit too much pushed. There we go. It's fine. It's fine. We're all good. Tis but a flesh wound right there. It's just lost a wheel. Actually, still drives fairly well. Of all the cars I've lost a wheel on this course, this might be one of the better driving ones on 3 wheels. Can't do much more than 40, unfortunately. We can't do much more than 40. Yeah, this. I'm not at all surprised. This, if you clip a barrier, you have trouble with. It's that sort of a car. Such wide tyres in such a tiny vehicle. Clip anything and you're going to have a very big accident. We will cross the finish line in a 34.4. And that won't be the slowest car by a long shot. The fact that had a massive crash, lost a wheel, and could still do a 34.4. Yeah. Okay. First run. Terrible. We don't worry about the first run when you've had a silly crash like that. Second run. I mean, it seems pretty quick. It seems pretty good. It's not anything truly outstanding. I think there's not enough grip in this for a real contender. Acceleration is great and all, but here is where we maybe hurt a little bit. Could possibly get away with some late apexes to focus on that acceleration. However, we don't actually have even the rear end grip to really make the most of that, and then the poor manual gearbox is just that little bit too slow. I'm holding on for dear life in some of these braking zones. The brakes are cold. Well, this won't be the first time I've had a car go run through the course, barely getting any temperature into the brakes. Now, don't turn in too soon there. We're still locking them up. Has this even got ABS on it? Yes, it does. So the brakes are cold and snatchy and will lock up even with ABS on them. That's fun. Right, 300 horsepower V8 in a very light Mini. I can only manage 83. That's the manual gearbox. I mean, that's pretty good for a car, 83 miles an hour. If that had a sequential box, we'd probably be seeing mid-90s out of it. That's, you know, on a circuit like this, that is a fair chunk of time that you are going to be missing out on. Still quick. 20.6 on its first run. Guesses from chat? Not quite there. Guesses from chats in the 19s and 17s is asking you way too much of this. It's not got the grip. 19s maybe. 19s. I need to find a little bit more. Might just possibly be able to run it down that if I get a good. Say if I get a good. If I get a nice clean run out of the Mini, just maybe we can see it run into that sort of a time, but I mean it would probably be an 18, probably be a mid-18 with a sequential box. I reckon you could probably lose a second and a bit with just the manual around here. There's only a couple of places where it's really bad, but you know, that is a couple of important places. Here is one of them. I'm trying to find gears that I can run the car in without having to worry about the shifting. I'm now getting it a little bit sideways in places, but yeah, there's just it's not quite. A longer second gear would also work wonders, really. It's got the power, it can deal with the sort of acceleration, but third gear just doesn't quite work in these technical parts, so it's got the torque or whatever it would need. Yeah, this really hurts the car. It should be so much faster. It should be so much faster than 80 miles an hour down there. Oh, come on. Round the roundabout we go. One more big stop. I didn't really want to go up to fourth. We didn't buzz the limiter though, so we're okay leaving it in third there. This is the wiggle towards the finish line. Fire the car at it. Didn't quite make it work. Big crash after the... Big crash after the finish line. Big hit on the wall for a roll, and we've lost a lot of wheels. We've lost a lot of wheels today. I mean, I'm okay with it, but yeah, many wheels have fallen off of vehicles right there. Hello, Cass. You've also just stood on my controller wire. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, you're a silly cat. The gearbox. The gearbox is not helping the car. Isn't the greatest handling vehicle. A little bit the lack of grip, understeer. Kind of a bit of oversteer, but honestly, the gearbox does not help when you're losing that much time on the few acceleration zones that we have got. Still, not a bad vehicle. Certainly, not a bad vehicle to get into the mid-20s. What have we got? Oh, I've seen the wing of the next car. Seen the wing on the next car. It's quite an impressive one. It is quite an impressive one. Where's it gone? It's another Mini. It's another Mini. Not quite as much power and a fraction heavier, but does have a sequential box. Actually, it has a double clutch box, technically. And perhaps one of the biggest wing-to-car ratios we've seen since the... since the great tennis pitch that we had on the back of a truck. I mean, it's... it's pretty impressive, isn't it? You gotta love the mad wings. Also, Thomas Daniel, thank you very much for the super chat. Christ, the engine's scraping on the floor. This is gonna have a fun time, possibly. Either way, this vehicle built by Ronnie. It is the Ronnie FR Mark III all-wheel drive flat six. As I said, turbocharged, not the noisiest of flat sixes, but still, yeah, flat six, 291 horsepower, 201 torque, 719 kilos. So we're a bit down on power, we're a bit down on torque, and we're a fraction heavier than the previous car. It's along very, very similar lines, however. But will it handle better? I don't know whether it's going to handle better or whether it's going to handle worse. It has a bigger wing, which is, we know, you know, bigger wings are more good. It's definitely not softly sprung. Definitely not softly sprung. Very, very short gear ratios. But it is, yeah, 100% not softly sprung here as we get on the power. Yeah, it's very good to go out of the corners. I mean, it looks mad. Tell you what, it's not driving badly, though. This is more like it. This has got some serious corner speed about it. Got pretty good straight line speed as well, I should think, when we can utilise all of this. Oh, it might look stupid, but it might actually be a serious contender. I don't know if it's going to get a 15, but it is certainly looking quick around here. And a little bit of understeer through there, but that's alright. I can deal with that. Gearbox, very, very short gear ratios, but at least it is a sequential box. What are we doing straight line speed? 85 miles an hour. Might be a little early on the brakes as well. So it's not the most savage car in a straight line, but it's still pretty good. Oh. Some sort of wobble from the back of the car. I don't really know what went on there while trying to slow it down. Not got that section right at all, but it will go into a 19-1 on its first run through the course. Yeah, it's probably not quite going to challenge the 15s and 16s, but there is a little bit more speed. I think an 18 is certainly doable with this car. Let's certainly give it a go. Oh, got to get through all of those bloody... this has got such short gear ratios. Getting through to the manual section on the box is a real pain. Yeah, the short gear ratios on this car don't really help it, although because it's a sequential box, it doesn't really hinder the car either. I much prefer when we do actually have some, you know, sensible ratios going on in the car. I'm not having to change gear constantly. It's just nicer as a driver, shall we say, but it's still working. It doesn't buzz the limiter down the straight. We had some cars that have threatened to do that at times. I don't know where on earth I'm going through there. I should have been out way wider. Managed to balls up this run a little bit. I mean, we might be able to still, you know, make up some time. That change direction there is incredible. It's really very, very good going. Up to 85 miles an hour. There is that little bit of chatter from the brakes, which I'm kind of surprised. I say surprised. We've seen it a little bit. Sometimes the ABS is just not able to keep up with the vehicle's braking performance. And this thing here is certainly slowing down very, very well. As it around the last corners. Oh, wow. That run felt a bit scruffy in places, and we're into the 17s already. Chat, I'm going quicker than you're guessing at. I am going quicker than you are guessing at. We're down to a 17.8. I don't know what we're going to see more-wise. I think there is more. I think there is a bit more. I don't know. I don't know if I can drive it to get that bit more out, because it is. I mean, this is all about the. Well, I say all about the corner grip. The way that this thing changes direction is immense, and that is actually a little scary. Trying to get the most out of it, shall we say, when you are trying not to then clobber into a wall. Like, you can push this car really. Like that turn in there, 31 miles an hour. It's getting to the exit with no problem whatsoever. It's just not what a lot of the cars can do. It's not got the most grip of everything we've seen, There have been cars that have been grippier, but I think the tiny wheelbase on this does help it. So that kind of change of direction here. We could have got on the power earlier, so we're going to go a bit earlier on the power. That felt pretty good around there. These next corners, yeah, make sure we stay across to that bit so that we can sweep back for the run onto the straight. Through the gears we go, up to 88 miles an hour, almost cracking the 90 down there. This is a quick car. Don't bounce it awkwardly across the transition, off the banking. We're fine. The front gets turned in and the back has so much grip, it almost feels like there's rear wheel steer the way it takes some of these corners. Oh, couldn't quite do a 16. 17-0. That's a good car. That is a very good car. So close. I think a 16, with enough practice, you definitely could get a 16 with that, no doubt. It was, yeah. It's close. Not quite into the 16s, not quite as fast as the insane 600 horsepower i3, but yeah, for 291 horsepower, that did mighty, mighty well. Pretty much, yeah, solid on. That's kind of how you want. That is how you want your autocross car to handle. Maybe a little bit more acceleration, but yeah, that is a damn impressive. As a damn impressive time for a very, very, very impressive wing. Our next vehicle is going to be entirely different. We're going for front-wheel drive. First front-wheel drive of the day. Don't know if it stands a chance of fighting with the Pegasus for fastest two-wheel drive car. It's certainly going to be light. Here we go. The Wyvern Works vehicle is another. We're actually going through a section of cars here that are very, very light, which is nice. It's a very, very light section of cars. This is another 725 kilo machine. Actually, get the weight down that much in this body style is pretty good going. I mean, you can see where it's carbon fiber wheels. Okay, that's the first big giveaway. Carbon fiber bits, anyway, around the vehicle. No mighty wing. No mighty wing on this, so it loses points and downforce on that front. Anyway, built by the Plumbum, the Wyvern Works Full Mars 647 i4. As I said, front-wheel drive i4, naturally aspirated, 181 horsepower, 136 torque. In terms of engine-wise, in terms of power, this is a little bit down on a lot of cars that we have seen, but it is light. 725 kilos is not much weight at all. Might possibly. I think the Pegasus was considerably more powerful at a similar. Oh, that's not got to start. Yeah, the Pegasus was a similar weight with considerably more power. Now, Pegasus did make a lot of its speed, of course, with immense grip through the corners, and this looks like it's pretty good through these turns. Traction from the front isn't amazing. We are having a lot of wheel spin. It's to be expected to an extent, but it is costing time. We are carrying good sort of mid-corner speed from this. It really bloody goes. I will say that. Okay, I mean, it does not have much in the way of power, comparatively speaking, but it is certainly shifting down here. That is really shifting once it gets going. That's more promising from the car. Actual gear ratios are pretty nice. Second gear, useful for, well, these twisty sections, and it gets it up to about 50-60 miles an hour, so useful for a lot of the acceleration zones. We are up to, we're not that much down on some of the other cars, some of the other straight line speeds. Are still struggling a little bit with that traction out there. Alright, slow you down again for the hairpin. That's a little wide. Okay, this isn't going to beat the Pegasus on its first run. It might give it a closer run for its money than I was expecting. 23.1. I think it's a 20.6, if I remember correctly, is our fastest two-wheel drive time. The brakes are tiny. It is a good thing we aren't really needing them too much. Little scruffier run. There's definitely more to come from that. Brakes are a touch scary though. Oh, gone up too many gears off of the start line. That was a little bit... What is it? Oh, it's a double clutch gearbox in this. Ah, too wide as well through there. Okay, well, this is going to be a learning experience, I think, for our car here. Sometimes that happens. You have a dodgy run, and well, the only thing you can really, or the dodgy start. Your best bet is to just see what you can do with the car, see what you can get away with. And in this, well, this run's terrible, so we will be, yeah, throwing it about a tad. It's definitely second gear. Definitely second gear, what we want. It's a shame about the wheel spin. If it didn't... Let's see, the Pegasus worked amazingly well because despite being front-wheel drive, you could really boot that out of the corner. Didn't really spin the wheels. It somehow found grip. I don't know how. I have no idea how it managed everything that it did manage. Oh, God, don't want to change up gear through there. But it did. And this is good. This is probably going to be the second fastest front-wheel drive car. Might be one of the faster two-wheel drive cars as well, but I don't think it can do a 20. That's a terrible run. Hey, we lost another wheel. I mean, admittedly, I did go for that one a little bit. I did aim that one a little bit, knowing that we were just about going to hit that, so we'll just take off a wheel. One more run. Chat's reckoning 22s, maybe 21s. Yeah, it will be... I think 21 will probably be doable, but that will require a very, very good run. And, well, a lot of things can go wrong in a minute and a bit around an autocross course. Definitely think we're going to leave you in second. I don't see any need to go to first here. I think we'll just get too much wheel spin if we do. We're getting wheel spin in second, yeah. Second the gear to go. I brushed the concrete but got away with it. No harm done to the car. We will get accelerated up here. Christ, is that... It really does get going. And I'm still not expecting... It always feels like it gets going down there way quicker than it does on the back straight. I guess it's because you've got to panic and start dealing with a corner all of a sudden. Bit of an understeering moment over there, but that's fine. Now, slow you down for this section. I think it's tripoding a touch in the braking zones, which is, I mean, is a little concerning, but it's controlled enough. It's not like we're having a big accident. Just, you know, terrifies the crap out of you a little bit. Right, smoothly does it around the roundabout. We go on the accelerator for the last big stopping area. Now, can I weave you? Have we got the grip to get through here? We have. Run to the line. 22.3. It's not bad. Not bad. Would have liked 21. But a 22.3 is pretty quick. For a front-wheel drive car, that's a good front-wheel drive car. Considering it's only got 181 horsepower, that is doing fairly well. I mean, I'm not sure the Euro NCAP people would be much happier with this. It's actually bent the entire... Oh, that's an entire chassis twisted. Could also hear a squeaky cat. Eve, what are you squeaking at? I can hear you. I don't think the stream can hear you, but I can definitely hear you, Squeaky. I'm in the office. I don't know why she's squeaking, but... Oh, here she comes. Yay! Have you woken up now? Have you woken enough to come into the office and say hello? You gonna say hello to everyone? Yes? Hello? There we go. Hello, Squeaky Cat. How are you doing? Where are you going? Also, why are your paws wet? Have you been in the water bowl? Wouldn't surprise me. She's not particularly smart. Where are you going? Don't go on the desk. Last thing I need is you start pressing reset buttons. You're welcome to sit and behave yourself, but no pressing reset buttons, okay? I'm going to have a quick drink. Because there's no hydrate bot on YouTube streams. Well, Cat wanted to have some of the drink. Well, we're going to go and flop, aren't we? Not going to be an awkward cat. Unfortunately, cats, people who want to hear cat squeaks, she tends to squeak when she can't see you. Once she can see you, she's perfectly happy, so doesn't squeak. So, yeah, when she jumps up on your lap in the middle of a stream/video, you tend not to get much in terms of squeaks out of her, because it's only when she's miles away from you. Oh, are we going to be... Zeke, on the other hand, he will squeak whenever, but he is fast asleep. And again, tends to be, he's content. Or tends more often. He will squeak at random times a little bit more. Eve, don't step on the key. Eve, not on the keyboard, please. No, paws off. You can put your paws on the desk, just not on the keyboard. There we go. Oh, well, I've got a cat on the desk. Don't sniff the Vive box thing. The room scale box. I don't want you knocking that off, because that would probably be expensive to replace. I'm afraid CatCam is buried somewhere around the back of the computer. I will eventually remember to have it ready in case we get catty. Eve, you've got a soggy tail as well. Why have you got a soggy tail? No, squeaky cat off the desk. We've got cat-related troubles. You're a right little adventurer today. You're normally good. Most of the cats know. In fact, certainly Cat and Amara know not to get on the desk. Most of them are good. But Eve is apparently not. You've not learnt that... Where are you going? You just want to fuss, don't you? What a silly kitten. Oh, now she's... I'm not gonna... I can't use my arm. She's currently flopped over my arm. Thankfully, I was holding the controller, so I'm at a good enough position. Anyway. Right. The next car. Here we go. It's time for the Mini Ute. It is time for the Mini Ute in both senses of the word. Kitten... No. Eve... Will you stop going on the desk? Yes, don't give me that look. Oh, you're being a naughty cat today. I say being a naughty cat. You're being an adventurous cat today, which is always interesting. Now, our next contender. This could be... Again, this could be another car that goes very, very fast. It's built by Sean Ifferson. It is the Miniscule Ute Cross. All-wheel drive, turbocharged V6 in this. Sequential gearbox. 285 horsepower. 281 torque. Weighs 665 kilos. That is, again, good power-to-weight ratio. We've got big, semi-slick tyres all around. Eve, stop playing with the microphone wire. I told you to get off the desk. And now you're going to go and eat a microphone wire. Hold on. No. I mean, I guess she's listening to the first part of the get off the desk bit. But, Anyway. Yeah, this could be mighty fast. This could be mighty fast. It could be out of control. It can go either way sometimes with this style of vehicle. But I'm gonna reckon quick. I'm going to reckon quick with this. If it's got the front end grip to go... It's actually not a very high revving engine, which is interesting. We tend to have these monstrous high revving things. This one, only going 5.5, is an unusual trait. Front end seems pretty good through these corners. Not the best we've seen. Acceleration is, Yeah, pretty quick. It gets juddery. This is another shaking car. It's not as bad, and kind of in a weird way. It's almost like it's not so much the wheel shake that we've seen from some cars. This is almost it's almost like the body or the chassis is vibrating, which is not what you definitely don't want chassis vibrations going on with the vehicle. Let's just weave our way through here. What do we got? Straight line speed. Be a pretty interesting test for the car. 84 certainly judders horribly under brakes. I was perhaps not so surprised with that if it's juddering and cornering that big braking zone. Yeah, there's so much grip in the car. I think that's what it is that causes a lot of the juddering anyway, is just insanely high levels of grip going on. What have we got first run time? 19.5. Ooh, a bit of the chassis I think came through the front of the vehicle. Ouch. Ouch indeed. Right, I've also just got to go do something. I will be back in a second, folks. For the next 2 runs for this car, talk amongst yourselves, and yeah, I will just be back. We'll just leave the broken that on the screen. Right, okay, I am back. Stuff sorted. We can go back to running cars through the course. Our mini ute. Yeah, a little bit of a disappointing first run. I think we can probably go a smidge faster. Right, let's get... Hold on. There we go. Right, sorting out all of the various windows I have open on my second monitor. Yeah, there we go. Right, 19.5. Definitely more inside this vehicle. Chat's gone a bit mad. I mean, am I surprised? Probably not that much. So, there we go. I'm just going to focus on trying to get this. It should probably get into the 18s. I'm not sure about the 17s. But you never know. I thought about the car that ran a 16. I thought it might be too difficult to drive in general, and it turned out to not be the case. So maybe we can. There's don't know, this thing feels a little bit... It's lacking grip, perhaps. In a little bit of a sort of weird... Yeah, it's not quite got the grip as some of the other cars. It's very small and, you know, good, very good power to weight ratio. But I think its ultimate quarter noise... Quarter noise? Quarter speed? Oh, noise from the bloody... You know that whole when you see something, you read something and your brain farts, and you say what you're reading rather than what you're supposed to be saying? Yeah, that was that one. Quarter speed is lacking just a touch in this. Its grip is not quite there. It's very close to being incredibly fast. As it is, it's just that teensy little bit lacking. We're gonna weave. That wasn't a better. That was not a better run. 20.9. We still need to beat that 19.5. Ugh. Okay. Okay. What are we going to... Where are we going to find that time? I am not 100% sure, actually. We'll get away with putting the power down, going out wide over there. There's no real disadvantage in heading out there, so we'll make as much speed as we can. I fear this is going to be one of those cars that feels quick. Well, it is quick, you know. At the end of the day, if we don't improve on this run, a 19.5 is still very fast, but it feels like it should be, certainly like looking at stats and what it feels like it should be that bit faster than it actually seems to be able to go. The brakes are a little snatchy, doesn't help with confidence, but I don't think it really hinders lap time too much. That slide is again not ideal, but we are okay around there. Are we gonna change direction? That section, all right. Maybe it's just a bit too understeery, I think. So it's so close to being immensely fast. I feel like this run is better. Oh, we're gonna have a bit of understeer, but not too much. Right, one more big stop. It's the last big braking zone for our mini ute, and wiggle. Oh, 19.1. It was a better final run. Not by a huge amount. It was better. Ooh. It is interesting seeing what sort of damage we have done as we end up crossing the line there. That's ouch. It's an ouch on the rear corner. It's not quite got the corner speed. It's got the acceleration you'd want from it, but we cannot quite get it turned in well enough. And it's all very well and good being incredibly light and so on, but if you can't get turned in that well, you're gonna lose that time that you can make up elsewhere. It's still a very good effort. At the end of the day, 19.1. Hell, the 19.1 would have led the series early on for quite a while, so at the end of the day, that is still pretty good going. We move from a little pickup truck to... Well, it's not going to be as light, certainly. It is going to be considerably more powerful, mind. Might be the second most powerful car that we have run today. Where is it? Have I seen this one? Oh, no, I have seen this one. There we go. This is another real good looking car, which is always nice to say. V12 powered as well. Down Under Thunder saying the donation bar missing deliberately from this stream. It is because I didn't have time to sort out a new one. We'd finished the goal last time, and I'd forgotten we'd finished it in the last stream. And when I went to set up this morning, when I set up before doing this, yeah, I hadn't set up the next goal. So rather than leave it as like a full one, yeah, it'll be back for the next stream. That's why we don't have that at the moment. There we go. Right, I've got my windows back up. Right. There are, as Karsha said, there are many, many pesky bills. Anyone that has a house knows the sort of stuff that goes on with them. Anyway, yes, our next car. This might be one of my favourite looking cars we've had run so far in this series. I think it's a fantastic vehicle. Built by Blackwater 12. It is the Spartan Sonor GTT. All-wheel drive, V12 powered machine, turbocharged, 527 horsepower in this car, 309 torque. It's good power, good torque. We've got semi-slicks all around. Downside? It's a bit heavy, 1,300 kilos, which in this series is, considering the last car we ran was half the weight of this. The Mini Ute was literally half the weight of this. So, yeah, this is a bit of a heavier car. And while it does have almost twice the power of the Mini, its power to weight ratio is down on the Mini. But if it can handle the corners well enough, then we might be all good. Cactus Jones, thank you very much for the super chat. Here we go. Oh, it's a higher revving one as well. It should be a pretty glorious sounding vehicle. I fear this is going to be, I mean, this is essentially a realistic supercar that has been entered into a competition for autocross. The suspension setup is a bit soft, and it's a little scary through some of these corners. I mean, the truth is, this would work on a road where 90% of the cars that have gone through here just wouldn't. They would be torn apart. But it does mean, whoa, we are a very, very slidey supercar. I mean, it's a very, very good fun supercar. However, it's a little bit not quite working around here. It is just a smidge not quite working around here. It may still be one of my favourite vehicles that have got in this course. Straight line speed is good. Panic and jump on the brakes. Oh, don't hit the concrete. Don't hit the concrete. I don't know if this will roll. It might do. Whoa. Oh, that's not where I wanted to do. Sideways through one of the gates. We have made it, but only just. This is mad. This is absolutely mad. It's across the line, upside down at 23.8. It's a lot more lively than I thought that was going to be. I was, not expecting that. I was expecting it to be heavy and understeery. It's not. It's definitely not heavy and under. Well, I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy and oversteery and a bit terrifying and a bit wibbly wobbly. But I don't think a sub 20 is going to happen. As much as I would like it to for the car, I think a sub 20 is going to be asking that little bit too much. But you never know. I think we're going to have to. We're going to have to be a little bit cautious. And I know that won't please everyone, but if I'm going to get a lap time out of this car, it's going to have to be done with a great amount of care, because sideways, you're just going to lose time. Although that doesn't help. I don't know if that was the turbo maybe spooled up there at an inopportune moment. I mean, it's when you can get it under control, it's carrying pretty good speed here. Gear ratio's quite short, but third is working, and as long as I have a gear that is working well, that's what matters. Okay, this is much more composed, much more controlled, neater and tidier and everything. Now, get onto this back straight with it being neat and tidy and not sliding around. Up to 88 miles an hour down there. We could have gone back to the future. We didn't. Instead, we jumped on the brakes and actually made the roundabout. So that's the important thing. Not sideways. Oh, ABS. Why would you do that there of all places? Bloody hell. It was going really well up until that braking zone and we had some brake failure. 23.4. We were going faster. We were going faster, but ABS just gave up, jumping on the brakes for the hairpin. And it was stopping, and then just sort of stopped stopping for a while, and then went back to stopping again. That's always fun. Yeah, it's a teensy bit big and heavy for this. And while it is, the balance of the car is much more towards oversteer. I mean, there's still that ultimate lack of grip, perhaps. Let's see if I can get any more out of the vehicle. We may have some big sliding from you. Thanks for that, car. Let's slow you down for the hairpin. That's very tight on the way in there. That's not quite what we want. We want that wider, maybe that wider approach. Don't know. We're going to have to be easily does it as much as we can here. Any time spent sideways is, well, time pretty much lost with this. There's no, oh, god damn, there's no real advantage in a car. Not in cars with this sort of grip and on tarmac. You're not going to have any advantage from it unless the car's chronically understeering, which just doesn't really. In fact, the front end's pretty good. Not perfect, but still fairly good. I don't know if we're on for a better run, really. We cracked 90, but I might have been a little late under braking. We'll go play over that way. Although, again, if we do run deep, you can get away with it on the banking. It's here. Oh, we can't get away with it. Well, I mean, it's not as bad as last time. At least we did get to a very late apex, but we made it. It's not going to be any better. Oh, tell a lie, it is actually. We lost another wheel. I'm surprised. I am surprised by that one. 21, 4, 5. We're doing a lot of the sequential numbers going on with this particular car. 21, 4, 5, 6, though, is pretty good considering that didn't feel like an amazing run. That was a very, very interesting vehicle. I mean, that ultimately is a sensible road-going supercar. I say sensible, okay, maybe 500 horsepower of a 2 litre is a bit mad. 2 litre V12 as well, to be precise. But, in fact, we might very nearly have managed to shoot the engine out the side of the car. That's not quite central anymore. That was a big impact. Either way, though, that was a really, really cool car. As I said, it may well be one of my favourites that we've had run through this course. It's an incredibly good-looking car. It is madly fast. Sounds great, of course, with a 12,000 RPM V12. So, yeah, that was a very, very cool vehicle. That was a very, very cool vehicle indeed. Our next car might be a quick one. Of just seeing what we've got coming up next. Ooh, have we got that? I don't know if I've seen that name. I should have downloaded it. It's whether it's worked properly. Sometimes some vehicles can be a little funny with going over to Beam. We've had some, yeah, vehicles that just don't work. Right, beginning with... Oh, no, it is not here. Sadly, we will not have the V16 run through the course, as the car has not made it into automation. We'll have to try that at a later date if I can get it working. It may or may not behave itself. So we will move on to our next car. Looks like something out of Burnout. Not that that is a bad thing at all. Not that that is a bad thing at all. It's going to be rear-wheel drive. It will be another chance for a rear-wheel drive car to go quickly in all of this. And this does stand a pretty good chance, actually. As I said, from the front, it really does look like something from Burnout. Looks mean. Again, it's another good-looking car. I like this one. Built by Zentrox, it is the Fishmaul Calf rear-wheel drive, flat 6, 305 horsepower, 202 torque. But despite its vast size, weighs 861 kilos. Now that is not much weight at all for, well, let's say for these cars. It is the size of the little engine. I do like some of the weird things. I mean, because this car is, you know, clearly designed for much bigger engines. It's not really designed for autocross. Ultimately, its size may hinder it slightly. But look at that teeny tiny 2 litre or less. I'm not sure how. Well, I mean, 2 litre was the max size, but that's a tiny flat 6 at the front of this. It does look, well, it's certainly tiny compared to the rest of it. But, well, you know, you're not going to see that when you're driving it. This could be quick for a rear-wheel drive car. If it's got the grip, it's got the noise. It has got the noise to go. Oh, doesn't look like it's got the grip, perhaps, to go. Nope. We got lots of oversteer. Oh, it's a lazy flat 6. Whoa. Nope. Bad car. Stop going sideways. So there is there is 300 horsepower, but I'm thinking the 300 horsepower is quite high up, and the gears are so long in this that we don't actually get high up in first. Oh, there we go. Now it starts accelerating. We're going to do pretty much this entire course in first gear, I think, with the possible exception of the back straight where we might get up to another gear. Now, on a normal circuit, this wouldn't be a problem. On a normal circuit, this would work, but here, this first gear is too long, sorry. There's no go. We're only about 150 horsepower, probably, through here. Oh, there's going to be some more sideways. And then power. Somewhere up there. It's very good when we get out of that corner onto the straight. It is, you know, that's up to 70 miles an hour with all of the just lack of power. Oh, low down. Christ. Well, it's certainly different. I will give it that. It is a really, it's a really good looking car, I think, but it's not that well suited to this. It's not that well suited to this. Well, we've had a spin. It's probably going to be looking about 25, 26. If we don't go for a spin and if we can not, you know, be horrendously sideways everywhere. Bugger. Bugger indeed. How are we going? I mean, I'm going to have to drive this car exceedingly cautiously if we're going to go quickly. Basically, there is going to have to be a lot of care on turning because I don't want to upset the rear of the car. There's going to be a lot of care with the throttle, the power delivery. Someone asked earlier about my preferences with understeer and so on. This is about the worst sort of car for me in terms of driving. This is about the worst sort of car in that there is nothing in terms of rear end grip to play with here. Every corner, the back end is stepping out. The engine doesn't help, but I do fear if we had 300 horsepower immediately on tap, that might actually make this car worse. But yeah, in terms of driving preferences, this is no good for me around these sort of zones. I'd like to think I'm managing to still extract decent pace out of the car, but it does not help me trying to keep this sort of thing under control. It's again up to 77, 78 miles an hour. This is a better run so far, I think. That transition is a little scary because I'm not sure what the car's going to do. We're going to go for a wide turn in here. I'm trying not to turn in too much because the back end's just got nothing. Whoop. That corner there is really bad for it. Hey, 26. 26.5. It's not too bad. It's okay considering what we are struggling with. 26.5 isn't too bad. Rear-wheel drive cars. It's another car that could be so much more. Like, I'm impressed by the lack of weight in this, and maybe the lack of weight is making it a little bit less tame than it would otherwise be. But yeah, there is so much time lost with the gearing, and if it wasn't lost with the gearing, I mean the oversteer, sorry, would be unbelievable. If this was dumping 300 horsepower there, I couldn't be flat out, and you'd just be stuck fighting around with that. Really, no, come on, get turned in. Oh, too much turned in. It's yeah, interesting. Long gears are not something we've had a problem with on just about anything. We've not really seen that affect any car there. That's such a horrible... Like, some of these transitions that aren't normally anything to worry about really catch out this. I'm going to have a little bit more of an oversteering moment there. And still get it stopped though. Brakes are good. I can say that much about it. Brakes are pretty solid. Oh, no. Stop it. If it had better gears, it might cause it even more problems. We're still oversteering and wiggling off the banking. We've got it all together for one last big stop. Now, this quarter, no, that quarter there's caused us grips. This quarter's caused us problems. We had problems before we got to the... No! I pinged it into the wall. Don't think I was going fast. It was going to be very similar lap time wise, but I pinged it into the wall, and there we go. It's a fun car. It's a fun car and an interesting vehicle. Quite a different vehicle. Just there's nowhere near enough grip. Nowhere near enough grip from the back of the car. A bit more grip and better gearing, and that would probably be a seriously fast rear-wheel drive car, considering it did get a good run time for what wasn't a nice car to drive, particularly. So, well, there we have it. First guy reckons you could do the whole thing in first without hitting the limiter. I think you would hit it down the back straight, but that is the only place where you would have to change up. Everywhere else, yeah, it's first gear's not a problem, apart from the problem with getting going out of the corners. Yeah, interesting build though. Interesting build. In fact, our next car is kind of like if this was built, well, maybe sensibly. It's got a manual gearbox, which is not necessarily something that we want sequential. We don't really want double clutch, because double clutch means you have to faff through the sequential parts to get to the actual bit that I can control the gears. But we don't really want manual, because the time lost, the delay in changing gear is significant. It isn't horrendous, but it is significant. Or it depends on the car. You know, we'll see. Oh, where's it gone? GT87. It's another light vehicle. Here, we're getting even slightly lighter. We're going 804 kilo. We had a lot of light cars today. Well, this is going to be loud, judging by the sound of the idle. Holy crap, that is the noisiest flat 4 I've heard on this game. That is a lot. That is a lot of noise from a flat 4. It is built by Galt's Plays. So it's the 87. All-wheel drive, flat 4, 270 horsepower in this, 185 torque. Could be quite fast. Power to weight ratio is pretty good if it's got the grip, which is going to be quite the question. This might be the noisiest bloody car we've had run yet. This could be the noisiest vehicle. Jeez, it is. No, I don't think I need to bother saying anything here. it might be a very noisy car. It is not a very nice car to drive. That is horrendously understeery. There is also, I don't know whether it's my speakers or whether it is the actual car. There is like a weird like resonating sound almost going on with this. I think it's making far too much noise for the game to really know what to do with it. But yeah, that's a horrible car to drive. There is so much understeer. It is pretty quick. The manual gearbox actually doesn't hinder it as much as I thought. 22.8 on a first run for a car that doesn't actually drive that nicely is for the manual gearbox itself is actually fairly surprisingly good. People saying in chat, yeah, it is the car. So the car does do some weird sounds when it gets to a certain point in the rev range. That's fair enough. Such a noisy car, this one. I'm not even going to bother trying to shout over it. We'll just let the car do the talking, and you'll see the difficulties I'm having with driving it. Well, there's a lot of twos. There's an awful lot of twos going on with that that runtime. I don't think I've got that much more in that car. I'm going to be honest. That run felt pretty damn good. The gearbox, the gears are very short. The gears are very short. The gears are really not helping, and of course, it's the amount of time it takes to. Yeah, when you're changing gear constantly, and they are, yeah, you've got the manual gearbox, you're losing that little bit every time you change. That's going to hurt it. Combine that with the understeer, and yeah, it's not great. It's not great through here. The noise is fun. The noise is fun. There is no doubt about that. I guess that is the main, say, appeal of this car. I guess that is the the primary feature for this. It is the noisiest car Beam has ever seen, certainly from this competition. One more go. Can we go sub 22? I have no idea if I can manage it with it. We'll give it a try. We will give it a try, but we're asking quite a lot of it. I'm not going to bother shouting over it. You can enjoy the noise for one final time. Hey, we did it. 21,854 in the end. It's pretty... I say is pretty good. With the understeer and with the gearbox that we were working with in the car, I think that is pretty much what I'm going to manage with it. I did leave it buzzing the limiter at the end of the straight fractionally because I didn't want to change up knowing I was going to immediately have to brake. So, yeah, we kind of left it buzzing at the limiter. It doesn't really harm it all that much doing that. It's not going to be forgotten. Ultimately, the lap time is fairly much average, maybe a little better than average. However, when the car makes that much noise, it's not going to be forgotten anytime soon. So, it certainly wins on the sheer volume front. So, well done. Well done. The 87 will certainly win on... just absurd noise. Right, let's go see what we have got up next. It's going to be a tough act to follow that. Although some of these cars are on the list, but I don't seem to remember having seen them. So either the entry was deleted before I got around to downloading it, or I've forgotten the name or missed the name. This begins with a... Oh, no, this one here is on the list. Christ. The Winslow Barnfire. It's front-wheel drive as well, which should make it interesting. It is very light, I guess, which is something. It's got a plain wing on the top. This is another one you're probably not going to forget anytime soon, mainly because it is going to haunt you in your nightmares. I mean, look at that. Now that's terrifying. This particular... I'm going to say vehicle, but I think monstrosity is probably the best word for it. Comes from Red Funeral. Front-wheel drive, turbocharged i3 in this one. 130 horsepower, 178 torque though, which I guess is not too bad from the tiny i3 in here. As I said, 640 kilos means it is pretty damn light. Pretty damn light indeed. There is a mighty wing. There's fire everywhere. I don't know what's going on with the wheels. Crate is almost silent having gone from that last car. It's... Oh, wow. Oh, the front end is amazing. The front end is actually really good on this car. What is it with some of the weird contraptions having, like, immense turning? We've seen this a little bit so far. Oh, okay, it's got so much turning, I've lost a wheel. That's probably going to be the end of this run, because that's going to be folded. I'm not even going to be able to continue this first run, because that's going to be folded in underneath it. And it's now twisted back, but still connected, so it's technically working against me. Oh, we nearly got some sweet reverse donut. There we go. We maybe... No, okay, that's quite broken, but... It's quite the poorly car. However, what we have learnt from this machine immediately is that it is immense in terms of turning. And that is an unusual thing to say about this sort of contraption. However, it's not going to make it around on three wheels. Well, terrifying van has, I mean, not had a great first run, but terrifying van will hopefully have a better second run. I mean, it's not exactly going to be a record breaker, I don't think. I don't think we've got the... That is incredible, the way that front end will do what you ask it to. And the back end, with the mighty wing, actually sticks to the road as you chuck it in like a moron. We don't have the... amazing amount of power to, you know, get it out of corners as quickly as you might like. Christ, this thing is so quiet compared to the previous guys. It's weird. An odd engine, only having like what 4,500 RPM to play around with, but it's still got okay acceleration out of these corners, and I'm hoping we can make up time that we lose in these acceleration zones. I think we're making up some of it through these corners. I mean, it feels amazingly quick. It's probably not the fastest car we've had through here. It certainly isn't the fastest, but the way that the balance is on this car makes it feel alarmingly quick through these corners. So it might set a impressive time. We're going to have a little bit of a wobble on the exit there, but never mind. Big stop down at the hairpin. Don't turn in too soon there. I'm trying to keep it in third, because third seems good. This is that's pretty good. 24.4. Okay, it's 4 seconds down on the Pegasus, 4 seconds down on our fastest ever front-wheel drive car. However, that's not bad for front-wheel drive. For 130 horsepower, it's not bad going either. We've got one more go. We have got one more go. Full House making a good point, saying it will be a record breaker, because what on earth would compete with it? It certainly doesn't qualify as a car. It's the fastest nightmare to have ever raced around an autocross course. That we can say with a fair degree of accuracy. It is certainly a nightmare in red and winged form. I mean, this could be a unit in Warhammer. So, you remember the old cheat on Age of Empires? Was it Age of Empires 2, where you got like the monster truck or the Shelby? This would be like the terror unit version of that. Imagine sending this would terrify an opposing army. You saw this heading towards you. Terrify an opposing anything, really. Like, you wouldn't want this in your rearview mirror, would you? You would get out of the way of it. This is the sort of vehicle the police need, because you would get out of the way of this. There'd be no funny business. There would be no funny business whatsoever with this around. God, front end turns in so well to these corners. I'm really worried I'm going to take it out on the concrete again. Because that is alarmingly good grip from this car, and I can't believe I'm saying that from what is quite possibly... We've had some really, really good looking cars run today, and this is quite possibly the most unique of vehicles to have run, and yet it has also got some of the best turning of just about anything I've driven here. Couldn't really get much more speed out of it. I think as good as the turning is, it doesn't actually have much go. The power band is a little bit wonky as well, which doesn't help its case. That all being said, for what is a very silly car, I was fully expecting a lot more, well, silliness in the driving front. It doesn't drive as silly as it looks. It really, really, really doesn't drive as silly as it looks, which is quite a feat for, well, this. Quite a feat for something like this. Okay. What have we got next? Do we have this next car? It's got the longest bloody name I think I've seen. I don't know whether I've... Again, I don't recognise this name. It's possible the vehicle has a different name. Some cars were submitted with one name and then it turns out they were in something completely different names. I don't know. I think you... Oh, yeah, you're going to be it. Right, our next car is sensible. Much sensibler than the van. It is the Phosphorus Aviation and Motorsport NXT rear-wheel drive. It is very purple. There is less of the hideousness on screen. Less hideousness will be good. Unless this has got something particularly wonky with it that we haven't seen yet. No, there's a lot of brakes going on at the back, but otherwise fairly normal looking sports slash supercar. Built by Phosphorus. Rear-wheel drive i6 in here. Turbocharged to make 383 horsepower, 270 torque, and it is a smidge on the heaviest side, 1,100 kilos. Not mad, you know, not crazy in terms of weight, but it is a bit heavier than, well, the last car that went, for example. I mean, that was almost half the way. Just put in good context, the barn fire, which is probably what you want to have done with it, is almost half the weight of this. So it should handle better. It should handle better. That's the hope. Should certainly be able to put its power down fairly well. Rear-wheel drives have been doing okay today, although this is more oversteery than I would like it to be already. That's not great. That's not the side that we wanted from this. Ooh, doesn't like these hairpins. Does look like it's on semi-slick tyres, although the understeer into these hairpins. This might actually struggle to beat the barn fire, sadly, because it is quite understeery and then very oversteery. Basically, this is the worst of both worlds. It's got understeer and not got the composure that I would like. So we've got lots of understeer and then lots of on-power oversteer. Oh, that's going to be a difficult one to catch. It's, I mean, a hell, but really it's an only just sort of a moment. And swap direction there. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Go, 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 go. Use the speed. It is pretty quick, but it doesn't really go to straight line anymore. Well, it's another slightly slidey car. Not the biggest drift machine we've had today. Probably the second biggest drift machine. And that's probably not saying much. It's, oh, that's yeah. There's so much understeer followed by so much oversteer. It's not a combination that you want in a car ever. 28-0. Enderkid guessing 23-7. Bit ambitious. Bit ambitious on this car. Admittedly, I mean, I was hoping for a bit, but I wasn't expecting it to have the worst of both worlds. I mean, to be fair, doing a 28 as rear-wheel drive in a car that is this difficult to drive is actually, could be a lot worse in terms of lap time. Right, we're going for the fail race staple of it's all gone wrong in the first run. Well, it's been very out of control. So what we're going to try here is being neat. We're going to try and be as neat as we can. This is where, yeah, you can see how much it's struggling. These corners, you know, we've been able to take them at a lot more miles an hour. The first hairpin, this is doing 16 miles an hour around, and a lot of cars have been doing well in excess of 20. It's just not got any front end grip, and we're going to have to not do that, ideally. It's not cost us too much because of where we started sliding. Jeez, it just can't go near the power. In the acceleration zones, we will just play it neat and tidy through here. That's a little wide. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Now, get on the power. Stop spinning the wheels, please. Would be nice. That's not bad. Not bad. Talking about 83 miles an hour there. And it's very difficult for me to judge a lot of the time, unless it was sort of different. But it's around the 83 mile an hour mark, which is, you know, pretty good going. For a car that I'm struggling with, I'll take 83 down the straight. Weave towards the finish line. Just don't excite the back of the car. It's better. Much better. Much, much better indeed. 24.9 with that little bit of care. Stop sliding the car around. We can get faster, but mid 24 might be doable. Mid 24 might just be doable, but there we go. It'd have to be a very... Oh, let's be fair, with this car, you can like make up and lose a lot of time so easily. Jack managing to open up 4 streams at once, and it sounded like many fail races having conversations with each other. Well done. I'm not quite sure how you managed that one, but well done. Well done indeed. That would probably sound very peculiar. One more go with the most understeery, oversteery car I've driven in a very long time. Let's try and stop it doing both of those things, if we can. I don't really want to... See, I could use... I was going to use a teensy bit of oversteer there just to get the front to turn, but I don't really want to, because in this sort of a car, it's not controlled enough to do it sensibly. I have used, in some really bad cases, I have had to slide the cars around to actually get it to turn at all. This, I don't trust. This doesn't have the grip for me to get away with it and to be able to hold it cleanly. So, yeah. Oh, we're going to go wandering over there. We got away with it, but only just. Yeah, this is not an easy car. This is not an easy car to drive. Now, I don't know how much of it is setup, how much of it is chassis, suspension choices, and so on. I mean, it doesn't look particularly, you know, strange. I don't know why we're having such issues with this one in the handling department. I'm going to hazard a guess it's probably setup related, but it does not quite work around here. What are we going to see for a... it was a worse. 24 was the good one, really. Yeah, that's... I'm not doing... getting more out of that. There's not much... We've had some fairly sort of consistent 23s, 24s with rear-wheel drive cars today, which is good. I mean, they're close to the Pegasus, but no one's really quite... beating that car. I think we will probably have one more car to run through this course today. We might have time for one silly vehicle, depending on what chat would like to see. We might have one more silly vehicle of some description from the various mods that isn't in the competition itself, but we might be able to run something through. And let's go. Here's our final car for the day. Should be interesting. Could be fairly fast. Possibly. Only possibly, but, you know. This one built by Incredulous. It is the Linton Coupe Autocross. All-wheel drive, i4 powered machine. Naturally aspirated, 225 horsepower, 150 torque. So it's not the most powerful nor torquiest, but it is fairly light, 713 kilos, which is what we like to see. There is a wing, well, a bar on the top. Don't know if it's going to do a huge amount, but we will see. Oh, it's quite soft. It's quite soft and a little bouncy, which is not really what you want from your autocross cars. Traction, not a problem. It's going to have 200 horsepower with full-on semi-slicks everywhere. It's probably going to have the traction. I'm struggling with braking in the car, but... Oh, and understeer again. Got another big old understeering mobile. I think we're having that ABS problem. I don't know why we're having it in this car in particular, but there are a couple of times where I have been on the brakes and it's not really wanting to do much slowing down, even from relatively low speeds. So that's not great. Chat wants to see a bus go next. We can have a go with a bus. It won't be good, but we can have a go with the bus. This straight line speed is good. I will give it that much. 84 miles an hour down there is damn impressive for what is not a huge amount of power. Certainly got that section of the track sorted. Rest of it, not quite so much. Oh, it was actually going to be on for a pretty decent... This is going to be faster than I was expecting it to be. It was on for a roundabout. I don't actually know if I can turn this enough to finish it because it's really quite broken. It was on for about a 20.5, so up until the crash into a wall, that is actually looking pretty quick. Okay. 20.5 is, I think, doable with this. We might even get it into... I'd be surprised. A 19 would be a damn good feat for this car if it can really do it. It doesn't feel like it should, but I don't know, it's weird. Like, stats-wise, it doesn't really look like it should, and handling-wise, it's a little bit funky, and the brakes don't always seem to work, and yet it does seem to somehow manage to find enough speed to be quick. Not quite sure where it's conjuring the speed. It feels a little bit like magic, but... Oh, it could be out wide again. I think maybe this car's special ability is it can sneakily control time. It can actually manipulate time, so... Oh, it might feel terrible to drive. It actually still gets really good lap times because it's cheating. Because this really doesn't feel like it should be that fast. Not compared to some of the vehicles that have gone around here. Oh, God, those brakes are just not good. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe they're tiny? I'll have to have a look. Brakes might be tiny on it, although they're not really overheating. It just doesn't really slow down. I'm not sure why that is the case, but there we go. Weave our way. How is that a 19.8? I don't understand. Are the brakes piddly? Oh, wow, the brakes are tiny on the back. They're not great on the front either. I don't know. Of so many vehicles that have gone through this course that have felt so much better than this. And yet, that goes sub 20. I'm not even sure where that time's coming from. We've got another run. We might even be able to get it faster. I mean, it'd be fun to get an 18 with it. I mean, I don't know. I say it doesn't feel like it deserves it. I mean, I guess that's a little bit unfair. It is not nice to drive this. It doesn't. The front end doesn't really turn in. It wobbles about a little bit. The brakes don't work. It accelerates pretty quickly, yes, but no more insanely. I think what it is this doesn't feel like it's carrying speed when it actually is. I don't know how it does that or why it's... I say how it does that. I don't know why it doesn't feel like it's carrying speed through the corners, but it really doesn't when it is actually carrying pretty good speed. So, yeah, credit where it is due. It is actually more competent through these corners than the feeling it gives away. There are some kinds of cars, we talked about this before, that just do not feel fast, but actually are very, very quick. Likewise, there are cars that you feel are setting an absolutely incredible time, and it's complete garbage. I've built a fair few of those both ways in various Forza games, so it only makes sense, I guess, that that could be a similar case when you're building entire cars from scratch in automation and driving them in Beam. With some sensible brakes and a better setup, this thing could be an absolute beast. This thing could be an absolute beast. Holy crap, that was a run and a half. Where did that come from? That has got to be one of the most difficult and unusual to drive cars that can do an 18.0. There's no way that car feels it should do that. And looking at the stats on this car, there's no way. It's light, yes. Light is good. 700 kilos is good, but it's 225 horsepower. That's not much. That is mad. That is a magical car. I think it might have some sneaky, secret, time control-y, wibbly-wobbly powers, I feel. Because that shouldn't do that. That shouldn't do that, but you know what? Well designed to actually be capable of that. To be able to run an 18.0 with a car that really feels like it shouldn't, but yeah. I mean, it's got weird gear ratios. It's weird to drive. I want to say bad to drive, but when it's that fast, I don't know if I can say it's bad to drive. And that might be one of the bigger upsets we've had. Certainly in terms of the really fast times. That's got to be up there. Well, that just leaves us with a bus. We will have a bus run through the course Unfortunately, I think it was Down Under Thunder was saying there's an articulated bus mod that I don't have. I can't use the JATO bus because the JATOs are dodgy. I'd say that the JATOs are dodgy because they'll fire them on trying to get around a corner, and that won't work. I could use the drift bus. Actually, I don't know what other... because I have got some like compilation car pack things that may add other configuration of buses that I haven't seen before. Honestly, a drift bus might not actually be a terrible idea, as silly as that might sound, because, well, sliding it around the corners might actually work. We can't use a drag bus, because that will not turn. I'm kind of tempted. I'm kind of tempted with the drift bus. I feel like that's actually going to be my best bet at getting it around the course, although it will depend on how the handling is, how easy it is to control. The rocket bus won't work. Certainly after... the rockets will make it uncontrollable, and the rockets will run out of fuel very quickly. That won't steer at all. So... let's go. Let's go for a drift bus. If this isn't the slowest vehicle around this course, I will be... I mean, I'll be impressed. I will be impressed. We are probably going to want to lock the diff, otherwise it's going to be a one-tire fire. We're going to want to turn the nitro off. I don't want that. This is not going to go well, I fear. I don't really know if we're going to be able to drift the drift bus, because this is such tight confines here. Oh, okay, yeah, we can drift the drift bus. It doesn't really... oh, it drifts so well it kills the frame rate. I think it's the tyre tracks that kill the frame rate. It doesn't drift in the expected, usual manner. Oh, this is horrendously bad. Right, we have to chuck it in. We might actually get away with crashing it off the wall in some ways. Whoa! That's a long drift that way. Okay, then back the other side. Now try and fit it through the gap, through the gap, through the gap. Don't tap the concrete. There we go. It's working! The camera having real troubles keeping up with this. I can't say I blame it. I'm having troubles keeping up with this. Oi! Plenty of steering lock. Avoid the concrete. And then we will get the power down. And then we will probably have to slide it through there. There's a lot of fire coming out the back of this bus. Just going to point that out. Now, back the other way, please. Come on. Change direction. And then we thought I've got to change. The transitions between the corners is a little bit difficult. The transitions between the corners are a little bit difficult in some places where it is so very, very narrow. I mean, it's fun. It is fun. I will give it that. It's also looking at probably the slowest lap time here. This is one of the vehicles that has had the most effective handbrake. I will say that much. With the... oh, apparently that didn't get the checkpoint. The semi-slick tyres... oh, apparently that's in park as well. Semi-slick tyres are almost useless with a handbrake. They just have so much grip they don't skid. So, the handbrake, at least on this, because it isn't on semi-slick tyres, does kind of work. Grabbing reverse doesn't help. Please turn. Please turn. Someone was asking the slowest lap time around here. I think the slowest lap time by a competition car was a 2:15. I think it was a 2:15. Set by like a Mini with about 40 horsepower and no go. It couldn't do 60 mile an hour. I don't know what the slowest vehicle of any of the silly ones are. I don't know if any silly ones have gone slower. I can't remember. Oh, turn, you bus. Well, that's not gone particularly according to plan. 239 and a smack on the pillar just for good luck. There's certainly about a 210, maybe? If I don't have to get reverse, and if I can get it sliding, this might not be the slowest vehicle ever. But that is a huge if. That is a huge if. Because it's not easy to get it doing this. Come on. Come on. now. Oh, because of course we spun as well at the start. So, yeah, this might not actually be the slowest vehicle. Oh, that is a pretty good drift. Unintentionally close to the side there, but, you know. Please get the checkpoint. Please get the checkpoint. I can't really drift through here because I've not got the power. I actually do with a little bit more power in this low down. Now, flick it back the other way. Through the gates we go. Come on, bus. Come on, bus. You can do this. This is a test of my driving precision skills in a completely different way to normal. Oy, that's all right. Out the other side. A little overcooked it, but, I mean... What does it matter when we're trying to faff with a bus like this through a course? It doesn't really matter. It really is irrelevant. The time lost from overcooking that corner is nothing compared to the inevitable time lost everywhere else because I'm incompetent with this. Oh, that's going to be a concrete wall. Just about got it out of the way of the first one. Trying to avoid the second one. It's not happening. Come on! Turn, you bugger. Now, don't tap that. That's quite solid. That would probably cause us grief. I don't want to be on such a tight line down here, though. I want it to be able to spin the wheels up there. That I could really do with being able to spin the wheels up. At least we've got the steering lock to make this work here. That's a good thing. With the drift steering, I can make the turns sort of work. We're actually 65. It's not the slowest down the straight, goddammit. That's quite impressive. You know, I might even be quicker with this, just driving it sensibly. Not that there's any grip going on, but I think I might, because the steering lock will do a lot of the heavy lifting. No! No! No, he got caught on the sign. He got caught on the sign on the big pillar, and that broke the engine of the drift bus. Well, that's party bus attempt number 2. Didn't work. I'm tempted. Do I try? For our final attempt, we're going to go for a not sideways approach. And I know this is weird. I know this is weird. We're going to go for a more normal fail race approach. Because of the huge steering lock on this, it should be okay. And we can use... I mean, if it's going to go a little sideways in places, that's okay. But... oh, the understeer is immense. No, I don't actually know if that approach is going to work. We might have to... well, it might work with a combination. A combination of carefulness and handbrake might do the trick. Basically, it's not really drifting it, but we're using the handbrake to kind of turn it a little bit. Because the front... so basically the tyres don't have anywhere near grip to carry any speed. So I'm having to... oh, it's a bit of a weird balance I'm doing. Oh, that's okay. Well, and sometimes it might actually go sideways without me wanting it to. But there we go. Come on. Come on. There we are. That's through there. The technical section coming up is where we have some big issues. Here's fine. This corner's not a problem. The actual hairpins early on aren't a problem. The issue is... corner coming onto the back straight. That is a real pain. Let's try and fire this over here, and then just widening that turn as much as we can. Tap the handbrake, get us around. Tap the handbrake the other way, get us around this next corner. Use the wall if necessary. That's fine, we're allowed to do that. And at least we've got the checkpoint this time. Okay, now stop going sideways. Run towards the archway. Big stop, lock everything up, that's fine. We've blocked another concrete barrier. It doesn't matter. Come on, come on, come on. I drove through the checkpoint and it didn't count the blasted thing. I definitely hit that checkpoint. It just decided, and you know what? Let's not count it. Let's not count the bus. I guess I must have just clipped it not enough. We'll have one more go. This will have to be the final bit for the stream. We can do this. We can get the bus into maybe not a last place. I mean, it's asking a lot. It's asking a lot of a bus, but maybe. Come on, do something here. Yeah, I could do with silly. Could actually do with more power, or certainly more power to get the back end sliding at the lower speeds. It does sometimes go like there, but I need to be able to do that on demand, and I really can't do that with this bus very easy. I know we're talking about doing a very stupid thing here with a bus. We are talking about doing a very, very stupid thing with a bus at the end of the day. But yeah, if I wanted it to be easier around here, get the rear wheels spinning at a slightly lower speed would be quite helpful, and be able to do it controlled. That is the important thing here. That is an awkward line through there. Come on, slide around our next turn. That's all good. In fact, we might actually be able to sort of thread that all together there. I might not bother changing out first, particularly. It's almost like there's no real need, apart from on that back straight. Through these, doesn't really matter. Oh, I'm going to have to bail on that. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. On to the back straight we head. Now, we will... Oh, God, jump on those brakes a little bit earlier there. Now, come on, come on, get turned through the long roundabout corner. Through the long roundabout corner we go. Now, this is where I screwed it up on the second run. We are through there neatly enough. Just a couple more corners to go. I don't know whether it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be pretty close to the terrible machine. This last wiggle, no, I can't. Ah, damn it. Just couldn't see where the front of the bus was, and now we've actually wedged it. That was going to be very close. It's now glitched its way through. I just couldn't see where the front of the bus was in relation to that. God, it was probably about 5 centimetres the wrong side. And now I can't even get the bus off, even if I wanted to. Oh, hey! Bus is free! Oh, I mean, it's fun. You have to tear off a lot of the bus to get it to work. It's fun, but yeah, funnily enough, it is not a particularly well-suited vehicle. I think it would probably... What was the slowest time achieved? I know it's a 2:15 or something. It's something like that. So I'm just having a look through the big old document of times, and I can't find it. I do think, either way, I do think the bus is probably capable of not going quite last. Amazingly, it has got the steering lock and the power, but there we have it. Oh, I've got to put it in actual manual, otherwise it's not going to be able to do too much. Yeah, fun vehicle, a fun challenge from you guys. Maybe at some point I'll have some more practice with this and see if I can actually get it through the course cleanly. Christ, the amount of fire coming from the engine is quite impressive. If only we could get some race tyres on the front, maybe. Some race tyres on the front is probably going to be helpful. Yes, the front tyres don't really have... Why is that changing down on its own almost? I don't know. There we go. That is going to be it for today's stream. I don't think I can... the front end won't seemingly turn in... Well, we'll see if we can get it going on the ring. I don't think it's actually got the... The front tyres are just push onwards. There we go. Nah, it's not going to have the... Why does it keep down... I don't tell you to downshift, bus. Stop doing it on your own. Yeah, the gearbox is downshifting randomly for me, which really, really doesn't help. So, that's that. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this stream. There have been some interesting cars from the automation selection, and there has been a bus to finish it all off, to the point of very nearly crashing the stream. And at least, apart from the initial crash at the very start of the stream, the game has stayed stable, which is always nice. Of course, a big thank you to those of you who donated, whether it be via Streamlabs or whether it be via the Super Chat. It is very much appreciated indeed. We will be back streaming tomorrow. We won't be on YouTube. We'll be on Twitch. Starts at 7 PM. We're on Horizon 4 for some multiplayer shenanigans. Should be good fun. I mean, Horizon 4 is generally pretty good fun. And yeah, Sunday we will be back on GTA 5. I think Reese was saying something about if we wanted to have a bus race or a race bus. I'm up for a race bus racing. Either way is good fun. So there may be some of that on Sunday. Full House Gaming asking will there be more Rimworld. There will be. It's supposed to be on Wednesdays. Last few Wednesdays. Well, this week I was at a horrendous migraine and was struggling to not throw up. So yeah, that's why there was no Rimworld. Couldn't concentrate on that. It should be back on Wednesdays. Hopefully, at some point we'll be back to Rimworld because I haven't done one of those streams yet. So I'm just burning the bus to pieces. Either way, yeah, that'll be it for today. Until next time, goodbye.